if you want to go deeper, if you're serious about going deeper with awareness, you have to go deeper. And what that really means is, we can talk about it. We do. We think about it. We talk about it. We have different practices and techniques and all of these things. And these are all wonderful, useful. However, all of this really is in the realm of the mind. And if you want to go deeper, awareness has to intuit that it, not needs to, but let's use that word. Awareness has to intuit that it needs to go deeper into itself. This is a different level of work, of inner work, a different dimension, different level, however you might want to think about it. And the reason I want to talk about it is I realized again, more deeply, how much we take awareness for granted. It is the most significant thing really about our existence. And it is the most underrated thing. And it is the most, I feel, is the most overlooked thing. And by whom is it overlooked? By whom does it go unnoticed? It goes unnoticed by itself. Awareness is not cognizant of itself. This is an analogy that came to my mind the other night was think about a well in the ground, a well, yes, with a spring, there's natural water, there's water down in this well. And the analogy that came to my mind, like a kind of a insight, was that the mind is like a pump. The mind is thirsty. The mind wants to drink this water, the truth of this consciousness, this awakening. It has this idea about it, and that's all it is for the mind, is a concept, an idea. It's framed in the mind's way to comprehend this thing called awareness, consciousness, awakening, enlightenment, however you want to frame it in the mind. And the mind is thirsty for it. It wants a drink, and it, as like a pump, it tries to pump this water up out of the well. And you could almost say that all the efforts that we make are in the nature of this pump. And it is the mind, it is this pump that is making the effort to pump awareness sort of into being, let's say, because it wants to have a drink. But there's a couple of things here. One is the mind can never actually drink this water. Just like a pump doesn't actually drink the water, it just pumps it. And the water never pumps itself. This presence, this awareness, this being, it just is itself. It doesn't pump itself. It doesn't need to. It doesn't need to do anything to itself. It doesn't need to go anywhere or make itself do something, or it just is this awareness. And somehow each person has to arrive at this. Understand isn't even the word. Realize this more and more and more deeply. And
in terms that you said, in order, one needs to go deep, or awareness needs to go deep into itself for actual, true, I don't want to say results, but yeah, for results, actual shift and transformation. And I agree with you in the sense that, I mean, I have been focused on this for so long, and I could see that I didn't go deep for a long time. And then I see I have people I work with, more like a beginners group or more seasoned group, and the seasoned group, they are more seasoned and they are more serious and earnest and focused, but still I see it doesn't go very deep. We are still traveling from the pump to the well and go to the pump and troubleshooting the pump and so I can see the truth of what you are saying, that somehow there needs to be some. So what does it depend on this to reach the point to really go deep? Time. I think Uspensky was saying that, time, how much, or Ronnie Collin, how long it'll take to reach self-remembering, and he'll say time, years, many years, and it depends of your level of earnestness and focus. Because like how much time it'll take to go to New York, well, it depends if you are staying focused with it or not. And in my case, what prevented going deep, although theoretically on paper my life was saying that yes, I'm going deep, my choices and where I put my money and my time, but the issue was that there were parallel other pursuits besides going deep. There were parallel other worldly A-influence pursuits that were still strong in me, that had strong drive. So then I will go deep and then go deep but not too long and then go into the other worldly pursuits and then keep going over and over. Maybe some suffering, some heartbreak, some major shift will slap the structure of my life, and then okay, wow, take deep refuge and go deep. And so I feel like that this element of positive disillusionment, it's called, that's an important factor as a third force to going deep. Basically, to be disillusioned towards these mechanical programs of happiness, like for relationship, recognition, success, money. Those need to subside in their, how primal they are, how much of a priority they played in people and in myself. So somehow I needed to be disillusioned, and perhaps I still need to be more disillusioned.
I think another aspect of going deeper, it doesn't mean more pumping. This is important. It does. It can. It's what I'm calling pumping now. I associate with the idea of effort. There's this idea of effort, and then the effortlessness of awareness realizing itself. As I said, the water is not pumping itself. It's not trying to get out of the well. It's not trying to do anything. It just is there. Just like the sun. The earth it takes the earth, all life on earth takes the sun for granted, right? And then maybe at some point the earth starts to go, wait a minute, this sun's pretty amazing. I feel the effects of this sun. I want to know more about this sun. I want to pay more attention. Maybe we should try to harness some of this sunlight more effectively and more often. Feel it more deeply. But it's still the earth. It's still the mind doing that. The sun doesn't need to do that. It doesn't need to impress the earth. It doesn't need to do anything more than it's already doing. And it's not really doing anything to the earth. It's just being. And its being is having this profound effect, which enables life on earth to exist. And so this is very analogous to this presence. And so this going deeper, you say disillusionment, and I certainly understand that. And at the same time, it's a deepening of the realization of awareness itself, that it's not, that it can be more conscious more often. This is how it feels to me. And we don't, yes, it takes time. It takes time on the level of the mind. But in fact, we don't reach awareness or arrive at, awareness doesn't arrive at the realization of itself in time. or through time. It's always now, which is also not time, really. Because from the perspective of this pure awareness, there is really no past and no future and no present. As a point, there is presence, but there's not even a point. What is the present? You can't capture it. You can never capture the present. Of course, you think you're doing a photo or something like that, but that's interesting by itself. Now I'm having all sorts of cogitations in my mind about that. But nevertheless, it's the presence. It's this presence, and this presence can sustain. But as Nisargadatta said, put your awareness to work, not your mind. Awareness, the mind is not the right tool for this task, that's beautiful. Put your awareness to work, not your mind. The mind is not the right tool for this task. But in fact, many people are using, and I have too for many years, used that tool of the mind in the hopes of generating awareness or pumping awareness or reaching all this. And instead, it's really, how often do we just really disallow thoughts about the future and drop completely thoughts about the past, everything, and just keep now, just here, now, realizing here, now, and I'm talking about it, we're talking about it, but this silence, it's this silent. Nisargadatta also said, I am that which knows that I am. So it's not I am. You can focus on I am here, I am, yes, I am. But something is knowing that. And that's this depth, this other dimension, this deeper.
That's more like it takes time to have the pump focused and cleaned up, that it pumps for water. Because the pump is pumping for a lot of other stuff. So it takes some time for the pump to get discerning enough and wise enough to be like, hey, I need to pump for that. So this kind of the principle of conversion, that instead of being scattered in all directions, then all energies goes towards this primary focus. But then that it will just ensure more continuous, sustained pumping. But I agree with you. What you said, the next thing is that actually the next criteria would be that awareness does have a glimpse. There's this glimpse or satori, and there is an experiential taste of itself, and the perfume of it, the aftermath perfume of it, and then so the beloved is less abstract. The lover and the beloved, the earth or the pump is the part in us that makes effort towards presence, and the sun, the water, is presence itself. So it becomes the beloved, or the sun becomes less abstract, and so we have a taste of it, and then this increases the love of it. So it seems like a love affair.
The disillusionment happens in the mind, and to the mind, you might say, because it's as though you're pumping and pumping and pumping, and sometimes you get a little taste of water and then you forget about it maybe, or something else is more, and then you want that water again, you pump some more, you make some more effort. But then finally you realize my glass is never full. So what? I have a drink, I have a taste now and then, but it's not, and so what happens is that awareness all the while awareness is watching the pump. It's watching the mind trying to reach it. And then when it realizes this more clearly, it only can realize that because it's realizing itself now more clearly as what is watching. All this effort and all this earnestness and all this failure and all this distraction from the supposed goal, this stillness, presence, pure being, all the while is watching that. And so in a sense, it is necessary for all this effort to happen so that it goes, I'm thinking now of the idea in the fourth way of the levels of man or levels of women, levels of human, that level 1, 2, and 3 are people who have different tendencies, who are just living their life, and they are completely immersed in their life and in their feeling of identity. And the level of what's called number 4, man number 4, is when a person starts to observe themselves, really, and see all these tendencies, and see how they're living a life without being present, without remembering themselves, without realizing I'm here. And then by virtue of observing themselves, seeing themselves as a level man 1, 2, or 3, by virtue of that, they realize themselves as what could be called a man number 4. There's a realization of this being this witness that's watching, but it's still in the mind, kind of watching the mind operate. But then there starts to be this feeling of being this witness. And then it can seem that that is self-realization. And it is, to a certain extent. But then that's still sort of the pump, realizing that it's a pump. It's not the water. It's not the source. And even the water, you see, of course, has a source. Just like the sun also. The sun is not the end game. The sun derives from somewhere. And so it's not as though, it keeps going, it keeps getting deeper. It gets deeper and deeper. And realization gets deeper and deeper and can get deeper. And it always is happening in this thing called the present. That's always the focal point. And whatever we can see, anything we ever see, anything that's ever visible to us, internally or externally, that's not it, in the sense that there's something seeing that. So it's not a vision, it's not even an insight, it's not a thought, it's not a word, it's not a voice in our head, it's certainly not any experience outside of us, it's not any kind of entity outside of us. It's always behind whatever is being seen. And so even watching ourselves make an effort, quoting that old Zen saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. I feel, however, there's a need for a clarification. And it is before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, realizing yourself as the awareness which is watching your body, chop wood, carry water. Awareness is so often going out. We're looking at things, we're observing things, whether they're in the external world or in ourselves, our thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, our desires, our troubles, our problems, our personal issues, whatever it is, it's going out and looking at all these things. How is it possible for this awareness, this consciousness, to, in effect, turn around and look at itself? Or if you like, look into itself. What would that mean? Strange that it somehow, this impulse of awareness to know itself and realize itself unwittingly manifests in the form of going out of itself to try to find some kind of form. It's strange. This is what's strange. It's formless, so it can never grasp itself as form. But it can realize itself, its formlessness. Again, we reach the limit of words to describe this.
When I started, and for a long time, there was focus to bring attention to the present and almost like the present, worshipping or dedication to bringing oneself to the present, sensing, hearing, being aware of the body, as opposed to being in a deeper layer of absence, like in the mind, or identify one thing. So I was really doing that, this kind of mindfulness that they talk in Zen, here and now. I mean, maybe they don't talk about it like that, but it lands on us like that. Hey, here and now, when you eat, just eat. When you walk.
And being aware of things.
Being aware of the present. Actually, you had a quote on your Substack recently that I used it for a discussion for my group. I think it was from Tibetan master that we both like, saying like, being aware of mind activity is actually different than recognition of self-awareness. So, but anyway, somehow I needed to do that. But ultimately, the present, it's a concept. Yes, the past is a concept, doesn't exist. The future is a concept, it doesn't actually exist. And the present even doesn't exist. It's a mind trying to catch the water. And so that's why it didn't go so far for me. Because anyway, so the realization is that what is present is the presence. It's not like the sound of the birds and the sensations. So what is present is the presence. So being present is the highest form of, one is present to the presence in which all of these phenomena arise. So basically I find myself now, after all of this going all over the mountain, up and down, and let's go another part here, maybe let's go, let's try another technique, let's try another teaching. I find myself now more like resonating with this Zen, like, yeah, man, I'm so busy, oh my God. So when I'm not, okay, to the bathroom, opening the door, like slowing down to walk to the car, but not as a mindfulness. It's more like, hey, this is a time to slow down, to be. It's a time to be because I'm less busy. So I'm doing the same as I was doing 30 years ago, but it's different because, yeah, I'm not trying to be fully like a hunter, a spy, special forces, aware of all of that at the same time. I'm less interested in all that. It's more of a falling to the, these are words, background, the background of presence. But this is because it has been revealed or discovered. So then there is that home, quiet place within. I was like, less fumbling going back there. So I guess going deep means it's beyond frequency and even duration. It's depth. It's going there quickly and having time there. And then starting to see, I guess, initially the identity is more in the foreground, either the person or the spiritual practitioner. And for this transition, it goes more in the foreground, and that's why I remember when I had some big glimpse, and other people have this and they laugh. Everybody, they laugh. And I remember I started laughing because it was, why? Because it was so obvious, this background, and that is never recognized, and yet it is the most intimate thing, and it was always there all along. And also that it came with all this drama and even seeking. It's like funny. It's meaningless. It's funny. It's not real. Yeah.
And also, I see it as the person. As a person, we're the foreground. Our life, this person, and then the spiritual practitioner is in the middle ground.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But awareness is in the background. Awareness sees the spiritual practitioner also and realizes itself. So you keep retreating farther into the background. Maybe that's another way to say it. Awareness keeps retreating farther back into itself. That may be another way of saying it. Instead of to turn around and look at itself, it retreats farther and farther back into itself in the direction, let's say, of its source. An image that has come to me is, do you know those little, I don't know if you ever had them, it's a little, like a little piece of wood, and it has some grooves in it. In the middle is a little hole, half hole, and there's a metal ball. And you try to get that metal ball to get into the hole in the middle.
Yeah.
And even if you get it there, which is very difficult, to keep it there is also even more difficult. And this is how it seems to me with this being present, trying to be present. Awareness is trying to stay in its own groove in the middle of the board. And we turn, and then, you start to get identified with something, or you have a desire, you're thinking about the past, or you're worried, or you feeling a pain, a memory, or whatever. This ball is spinning all around that little board. And something has to keep adjusting so that the little ball, a presence will slip back in to its groove, its place, in its own place, which is this quiet place within. But it's such a delicate thing. That's another thing. We don't realize how delicate this awareness is. It's quite effervescent, delicate. It's not a thing. It's not a solid thing. We can't say what it really is, but it's not a thing. But nevertheless, it can stabilize itself. It can stabilize its realization of itself. And it can hold that, sustain that longer.
Well, I feel that for this depth game to be accessible, there needs to be a lot of purification of the egoic tendencies in the mind, and then the next level is the washing away of this strong me-ness in the body with the reactions and the tensions and the resistances and trying to avoid feelings and even use self-remembering to avoid the content of now. So somehow the lack of, because as soon as there is resisting of anything, we are off that, we are in the labyrinth, and it takes time and time in out of understanding and practice to get better as not resisting. Mm-hmm. Although it's tricky because, from one angle, even the term witness, or not resisting, consciousness is already doing that by itself. Consciousness is already doesn't resist anything. It doesn't block any thoughts from arising, no matter how ignorant they are. It doesn't block any feelings to arise, no matter how stupid they are. It doesn't block any sounds. It's all unfolding. So it already does that. It's more like the me, the imagined separate self, that is resisting it. So when we try to practice, hey, let go resisting it, welcome it completely, we are trying somehow to make the sense of me more aligned with what consciousness is already doing, like not resisting.
Yes, we are aligning the mind really with the nature of awareness.
And the same with the witnessing. That was shocking for me at some point, because for a long time there's all this thing, hey, you are the witness. Atta self is the witness of the thought. You are not this, you're the witness. Be the witness. So that initially created this, the mind is trying to do it, and it's like, oh, you just try to see yourself from above or from behind. The mind is trying to do some inner aikido to squeeze it. But then I found out at some point that, hey man, this witness, it's a tool. It's a teaching tool. At some point, even if you seemingly get it, you need to drop it. Because this conscious effort witnessing is extra. Somehow, the nature of consciousness is already witnessing somehow, and this was just a scaffolding to be less into objects. And then you drop it. Otherwise, it's too much, too mental.
Yes, Nisargadatta called the witness something like the point where the mind reaches out to awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the point where awareness touches the mind. So it's this important threshold. But he also said the personality, and this is interesting the way he put it, merges into the witness. The witness merges into awareness. And awareness merges into the infinite intensity of silence. And that's another thing about this going deeper. This silence, we call it silence, we call it emptiness. And yet those are, again, just words that this is a way for the mind to relate to this concept. Silence isn't really silent. It is, but it's not. And it's not really empty. Emptiness is not really emptiness. It's actually the full ultimate fullness. It's the fullness of reality. You could say it, I think, that way. It's extremely full, this emptiness. Extremely deep.
Also, I feel that as we play in this depth, and the fourth way books, which are fragments, and they were not encouraged to publish anything. So they don't talk about, they stop the instructions we have received frozen in time. They are not talking about depth. And so, because they are talking to a lower level of man in order to be practical. So I feel like this we talk about realization, but I think it needs to go beyond realizing that there is this awareness and that I am that, but to go into this non-dual realization, or realization of the nature, that that it's not separate, that it is all, that everything is that, and then even the thoughts and the feelings, they are not a problem once the recognition of presence has happened. The thoughts and feelings are not a problem. We don't need to fight with them anymore. They themselves are emanation of the awareness, and so it's less need to withdraw and be careful. Once certain realization has happened, one can fully embrace life.
Identification is still an unconscious manifestation of awareness. Identification is not the mind. The mind can, as a result of identification, the mind can tie itself in a knot. And then so many things happen as a result of that. Yes, that's, as somebody said, that's where the problem begins. There's still this awareness itself it can know, let's put it that way, it can know when it's starting to become more identified, starting to lose recognition as itself. And it literally, just as the person merges into the witness, and the witness merges into awareness, the reverse is true. Awareness will merge back into the witness, experience itself as the witness, and then the witness will merge back into the person and experience. Now consciousness is experiencing itself as the person. So this merging in both directions, this transmutation in both directions, has a lot to do with this thing called identification.